Well, yeah, it's nice to have a regulation. Softball, cricket, whatever. Softball. All right, hi, Kim. Oh, meeting to order. Pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Dennis,
Second.
seconded by Kim. All those in favor?
Aye.
Passed. All right, we have a number of contracts to approve, which is a good thing. So, Jen, you're going to present
Yeah.
them to us. Number 4, to begin with, the Teachers Education Association.
Start with the big one, okay. Maybe that's why it's turned sideways. All right, so thank you. And I want to thank Neil for the time that he, which was a lot of time this year with the teachers and the paraprofessionals. It just really does help, in my opinion, to have a board member, especially at those two big groups. So thank you, Neil. So as you guys know from the last closed session, we were getting ready the next day to have an extended day with the teachers, an all afternoon session, to try and avoid going to mediation. And we were successful. And I think we really all came out feeling pretty good about the final tentative agreement. And so what we ended up with was 2.5% each year, retroactive back to July 1. They have, in their contract, they have the calculation for insurance increases. The district pays up to the first 7% of an increase, and then we share after that up to 11%, I think, and then the teachers pay the amount above that. So we knew the actual insurance increase for this current year, which is year 1 of their contract. What helped us was, by the time we met with them on, last Tuesday, we knew that we had a 0% increase. So that actually helped us with this contract. In their contract, they have an automatic escalation of their 403B contributions. It's a % of their pay. So those are things we don't really need to negotiate because they're already negotiated unless they bring them up. So we ended up with a 2.5%. There also was a $750 one-time retention stipend that will be paid in September actually, we will pay the retirees before, as they're leaving here at the end of the year. I believe we have 6 as of a couple days ago. And then we will pay that dollar amount on September 5th for teachers who were working this year and who return for next year. So that was it'll be a retention stipend. We did not include it in the total package for 3 different reasons. It's a one-time stipend. It's not going to be in the contract. It is, we will use, it's an allowable use of our COVID funds, especially our biggest pot that we have a couple more years to use. It's going to be about $220,000 is going to be the total cost. And other districts, and I know of 3 in the Big 9 that paid as part of their settlement, are paying a stipend, and they did not include it in their total cost for those same reasons. So we ended up with a 7.59% total package for the teachers. Neil, anything to add?
No, I concur that it was a long process, but as long as I've been involved in negotiations now, and I have been for a long time, as was Kathy, both on the other side of the table for many years. And it's our the relationship between the board and the district and those units that with whom we negotiated has always been very good.
Very good.
collaborative, not confrontational. There are times when we probably get on each other's nerves a little bit, but the process really works well.
Yeah.
And I want to congratulate all those units that we worked with, specifically on this item with the Education Association, the teachers. There are a lot of them that are involved in this and appear at the table, and the process works very well. So I would entertain a motion to accept this contract agreement, and then we can discuss it.
So moved.
Moved by Bruce Olson. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Kim Nelson seconds. Now, any questions from the board?
I do know that they passed it overwhelmingly.
Dennis?
I think it's important to remember too, it was a slower process this year, and we kind of knew that because of the referendum and everything else happening, understanding the COVID dollars. So I think the timeliness of it is good. Once things settled out in November and once we're able to meet, things are able to happen and get done. And thanks for everybody who served on that negotiations team to get that taken care of.
Yeah, and your point is well taken, that in the Education Association agreed to wait until the results of the referendum was in. It was in everybody's best interest to do so, and so another good example of collaboration.
Do any of the other units, are any of the other units receiving a retention stipend?
The LPNs, we have a tentative agreement. We're not voting on that tonight, and that's $125.
And so this total cost of the stipend alone is $220,000.
About, yes.
And has this ever been, is there precedent for this? Has it been done before?
I am not, it certainly is being done in other districts right now. I am not aware in hourly if it's been done before.
I don't believe it has. That what that there had the situation has
Yeah,
presented.
it's a unique situation with the funds that we have available to do this.
And I know that at other times of the year, we do make disbursements of those
Right.
funds. So it
Yes.
doesn't have to be with the contract.
Correct. It would not have to be. Yes, as you remember, the board made the decision last, I believe it was December. We did it right before the holiday break, a $500. That is correct.
The $750, is that part of the contract? It's separate from the contract.
It is
right?
separate from the contract, yes.
But it's part of, it falls
not-
under. this-
So it was agreed upon at the table, but it's not in the contract.
Okay,
Are we voting on it with this vote then? Even
Yes.
though it's not in the contract?
Yes, actually, I think, and you know what, I should have pulled up. Is that what the memorandum of understanding is, the next item on
oh, ALEA,
Yeah.
Memorandum.
Part of the master agreement.
gotcha.
It's not this section.
Yeah, I wasn't finding it, so thank you for clarifying.
Okay, thank you. Oh, that's for the elementary minutes. Yeah, so it's going to be an MOU that has not, so I guess technically,
We're not
you'll be voting on the MOU
Separately.
separately when it's put together.
Yeah.
So right now, you're just voting on the 2.5 each year. Yes,
So we'll get that at a later meeting.
that will be at a later meeting.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm sorry, I should have put all those pieces together before I sat down here, but yeah, that would be correct.
But that was the unit's understanding when
Oh, yeah.
they,
Yes, it was.
so how does that work?
Well, it was also, they also understood that it would not be in the contract and that there would be an MOU, and they know that the MOU has not been put together yet as a document.
Would you anticipate we'll vote on that at our next meeting?
Well, yes, and Kathy will be back tomorrow, and I will certainly bring up, and I understand, the question. But it was certainly the teachers understood it was not part of the contract. It would be an MOU. Would you agree with that, Neil?
Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely. There's no question about that. They know that the MOU has not been put together yet. So it should not be a surprise to them that that would not be part of tonight's vote. And please correct me if
No,
I'm wrong.
it was a kind of an agreement that we had, that it would not be a part of the contract, but it would be included as a stipend, as
Right.
the one was, a $500 one was
Right.
last year.
What would happen if we passed the contract tonight and then the MOU didn't pass later on? Would that be a huge problem for the negotiations?
It would be a
Yes,
huge
it would
problem.
be a huge problem.
Okay.
Because we were negotiating, I mean, yes, to be honest, yes, I mean, we were negotiating in good faith. They passed it in good faith with that. You guys are certainly aware of that's what the plan is. So I would say, if,
I would say.
I would say if it's a big problem,
Don't
we
vote.
should not vote now.
Right.
I'm a little bit on the fence. I'm very happy with the increase. I'm fine with that. I'm on the fence on the stipend, or I'm just not totally comfortable with it. So I'm just curious what would happen if
Yeah.
it, I'm assuming it will pass, but. if it
Well,
didn't-
but I think we should have some,
Yeah.
we would feel better if there was clarity on that before we would pass the
And the, and
2.5.
the stipend was provided with federal dollars, COVID dollars. And it was mentioned a number of times during process of negotiations that COVID didn't really make anybody's job a lot easier.
Mhm.
It was a burden for everybody, and especially probably the teachers. And so that's what the money is given to us for. So I would be very hesitant to deny the distribution of that money that was designed for that purpose.
And I would agree with Neil. I think that's a very good point, that one of the not only allowable uses, but we've used it, is to help retain our staff.
Mhm.
And that's one of the reasons that we receive the amount of monies that we receive. So it certainly is not on the fringes of what we would use those funds for. And the good thing, because we would not want to use those funds to fund money on the salary schedule, because that's an ongoing, whereas this is a one-time fixed amount, does not have any tails to it, and is, like Neil said, it's exactly what these funds are meant to help us with.
It's very similar to what the state is doing with.
With the healthcare, frontline
healthcare right
workers.
now, and I think
Yeah.
it's almost exactly on that same
Yeah.
line, 750 and.
Is there any concern that down the road this will be requested again and again?
Well,
or maybe-
I mean, they can request it, but we won't ever be in this position again.
No.
Well, I guess potentially next round, because this is our largest pot of money we have until September 30th of 2024 to use. I guess it could come up again, but we always have the ability, to,
It
no.
would be contingent upon another pandemic or something.
right,
So
or
that-
where
that
we
place,
are
that sort
on
of
the
burden.
spending of the funds that we have. Because we've tried to be very careful about using the funds, A, to fund positions, which we have funded some positions, but the people that have been hired into those positions have understood that they are a short-term position. We've been very careful to use the funds so that when come September 2024, we've not put the district into a financial situation that would be untenable.
How many more funds do we have left from COVID?
I don't have that number in front of me, but we have hardly started to spend. The largest pot was just the $4 million. Now, in the way I've planned it is funds as they are coming to their sunset, we've tried to use those funds first, and then leaving this largest pot, which has the most extended period for us to use it. We will move some of the expenditures from the pots that are expiring. And I can certainly, here in the next month or two, give you guys an update on the COVID funds and where we are.
Okay. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
I guess I have one other question
Yeah.
about this too, and it's about the stipend. Is it possible to structure it in a way where the stipend is associated with the result that we're maybe hoping to incentivize versus just handing it out to everybody? I'm just wondering if that would be,
Well, we can't now
We
because that
can't.
was not part of the negotiation.
okay,
it was termed a retention stipend.
Okay.
For teachers who were here this year and then in retiring, and then for teachers who are returning next year.
And is it the district's position then that this will help student learning and kind of closing that gap that has?
I think it's the district's position, and Neil, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a lot of discussion at the table, very heartfelt discussion about, we really thought this year was going to be a little bit easier year, but it was actually much more difficult as students were here back all the time, and the mental health needs of the students, and really what all fell on the teachers' plate. And you could really, I felt, really hear it in their voices. They all, they indicated it was really the most difficult year they've ever had teaching. And so I think, we can't call it, for what you've done this past year, but we can call it a retention stipend. And it really, I think, is in acknowledgement of where they've had to go above and beyond this year to help students. And in that way, yes, I think, it is it's to the advantage of the students that teachers have gone above and beyond.
It was, that was expressed at the table, and I heard that expression firsthand from friends of mine who are teaching. And as a matter of fact, I saw them occasionally and can personally testify to the fact that it's not the way it was when I left in 2014. And much of that is as a result of COVID, and they've answered the bell. And it isn't just it's blowing smoke at the table. From what I have witnessed, they did pretty much go above and beyond, and accommodated all those difficult situations that presented themselves as a result of COVID. And I don't think it's out of line to reward that sort of response with an additional $750. It's not going to pay all the bills, but it'll go a long way to providing a little acknowledgement on our part to the fact that they did have a difficult year. Hopefully next year won't be
Right.
like that. And the year before was difficult. Any other questions, comments?
And just of all the units that are settling, the LPNs are still outstanding.
We have a tentative agreement with them, so they're voting right now.
Okay.
And so they'll come, I'm sure, to the May 16th meeting,
Mhm.
and then that's it.
Okay.
Yay.
Okay, are we ready to vote? All those in favor of the motion to accept the contract with the Elwood Education Association signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
6-1. Thank you. All right. Remember, the next item is the MOU, I believe.
Yeah, so this is a memorandum of understanding that is, concerns the elementary school teachers. In the contract, it states that the contract time is 330 minutes. The memorandum of understanding, which would be for starting July 1 of 2021 through June 30th of 2023, so one more year, would extend that by 5 minutes a day to 335 minutes of contract time. The middle school and high school, I believe, are at 345 minutes. And this is to help with supervision issues.
Quick question on the memorandum. It says this memorandum of understanding will remain in effect
Yes.
until June 30th.
Of 2022.
It's supposed to be 2023.
I'm just looking up in number 1, it says 2023. And do you know the answer to this, Ashley? This is, I didn't put this together, so I apologize.
Is it supposed to be part of the new contract?
No, it is not part, no, and in fact, it is not in the contract that we extended it to 335 minutes.
Okay.
Which is why it's that's a memorandum of understanding.
Right. Right now, it's remaining in the contract as 330 minutes. It is 2022. Okay, so the vote is that this would, instead of extending through June 30th of 2023, it would remain in effect until June 30th of 2022. Thank you.
Thanks for clarifying. I'd move approval.
I'll
Okay,
second.
thank you, Dennis. Blair, second.
I'll second.
Angie, second. Any further discussion on the MOU? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. 7-1. 4.3, paraeducator.
Okay, so this is exactly what we talked about at the closed session, that they agreed to a year one, that the 2 lanes that paras are in that match up with the same 2 lanes that custodians have, that they would move to the custodian rate schedule, that they would have a rate schedule equal to what the custodians negotiated earlier in the year. And that would be retroactive to January 1. And then in year 2, it is a 3% increase. We did, they agreed to eliminate steps 1 through 4. So they had a 15-step contract. Now it's 11 steps. And now that starting pay is right at $15 an hour for the lower lane. When we met, however, last week, I had indicated it was going to be a 7.9% total package. That was without taking into account that the year 2 health insurance increase is 0% now, and they're another contract that has it in the contract how the district contribution will increase every year. It's not negotiated every year. So with that being true now, a 0%, it went down to a 7.15% total package. And they have now also voted, and it passed.
Some other comments you mentioned, the lanes.
Yes,
The salary schedules have lanes.
Right.
They have steps. Lanes with teachers are a reflection of the amount of education that the teacher has. Lanes with other groups are a reflection of what the worth, which has been determined by a study that the district employed years ago, called Comp Worth. Back in the days when it was a mission to rectify the discretion that existed between the salaries of male-dominated groups and female-dominated groups. And so the surveys were taken, data was compiled to reflect the worth of a particular position, whether it be a custodian position or a para position or a support services position, and that's what those lanes reflect.
and that is an independent third party that determines, based on our job descriptions, what the comparable worth is of every job in the district.
Right, and I was.
So now we've got comparable worth of custodians and paras in 2 of the lanes. And so now we have equalized those.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. It would seem logical, and I was involved in this process when those lanes, when that comp worth was introduced. And, you know, my kind of vision of how this would work would be that, well, then these lanes would be negotiated, and then everybody, custodians and secretaries and paras who were in those lanes would receive that salary. Well, it didn't work that way, because those units all negotiate their contracts independently. And sometimes it was actually just what maybe one unit wanted more on the insurance package, so they put less on the salary schedule, or, you know, in any event, what happened was that those lanes for paras were not the same as the lanes were for custodians. And so, you know, and you know, theoretically, they should receive the same salary, if they're in the same lane, if their worth is comparable to somebody else that's on that lane, they should be getting the same salary, but they weren't. So we corrected that by choosing the unit with the highest salary as a reflection of what that lane should present. And so now the paras are receiving the same salaries as those on similar lanes with custodian. So that cost a little bit, but it was an expense which I feel was justified because if we believe in comp worth, well, then how can you have somebody in one unit pay more than somebody in another unit when they're in the same step in the same lane? So I thought I'd throw that additional explanation in. And then the salary schedules are ugly things when they have a lot of steps, and the fewer steps, the better. There are 15 steps in the pairs schedule. So, and the simplest, easiest way to raise the starting wage is to take off the bottom steps, which that presents a cost too.
I move approval of the para contract.
Bruce moves to approve, so that I'll set up. Any, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dennis. Any other questions? I'm fascinated myself. All right, all those in favor of approving the paraeducator contract, signify by saying aye.
I
Opposed? Thank you. All right. School districts, 4.4, approval of Eberly School Districts Coordinators Association.
Okay, so this is a group of people that include the Director of Facilities and Transportation, the Activities Director, our Special Ed Coordinators, our Food Service Coordinator, our HR Mars Coordinator. So just a list of, several people that support the directors is I guess how you might think of it. We came to an agreement with them for a 2% salary increase. They are all salaried increase each year, retroactive back to July 1, and insurance increases each of the 2 years to hold them harmless on Plan 3. And the total package for that group was 5.52%.
I'm going to approve.
Moved to approve by Kim,
Second.
seconded by Dave. Questions, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval of the Schools District Coordinators Association Master Contract, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 0. Thank you. And finally, action items, 4.5 resolution designating the MedSurity LLC and Matrix Trust as health reimbursement arrangement trustee. This has to do with the administration of our VIVA
and flexible spending accounts. So currently, for quite some time, the district has used a company called Further. They've been great partners, but they were sold to another company and they are no longer going to be providing administration of VIVA and flexible spending accounts. So we did go out for bid. We had 2 respondents. MedSurity was the least expensive, $3 per participant per month as opposed to $3.75. But as importantly, they've got a very strong product and a good online presence. So we will, assuming you guys vote to pass this resolution, we will start making that transition in July.
Okay, might I ask, what was the rate of the previous contract, previous arrangement?
It was 3.75.
Also, this.
Yeah, so this is actually less expensive. Yeah.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Angie to approve,
One second.
seconded by Kim on the designation of Surety LLC and Matrix Trust. All right, any discussion, questions? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed?
Thank you.
Now.
This is a big night for me.
all right.
Thanks for all of it.
We're very happy.
Yeah. Is it just LPNs that are left?
Yeah, we have a tentative agreement, so we'll be bringing that to the next one.
My presentation.
Click every time you can turn the page down. All set?
Yes,
Ready?
ready?
All right, here we go.
Graduation ceremony update.
18 days away. 12 school days for seniors left to go. So we are approaching a milestone that we are looking forward to. Let me start this by saying how I'm not a real big emotional guy, try to keep everything low, but watching the senior dinner dance and prom coming back has been an emotional trip for me. Not a big prom guy. It was really fun to watch the kids have fun in a setting that they haven't had in a couple of years. So just let me tell you up front, the last few weeks are getting better. It's been a rough year, but we are seeing some normality return, and that's a big deal. So I'm going to give you our plan for commencement. There's a couple of them here that we'll run through. First of all, we're looking at 2 potential locations. The date will stay the same. The date is going to be Friday, May 20th at 7 p.m. Plan A with good weather is going to be on Hammer Field. Plan B with rain is going to be in the high school gymnasium. So those are the 2 plans, and we'll tell you how we're going to decide that in a little bit here. So if we go with the Hammer plan, we will have the stage set up in the west end zone. That put the scoreboard behind the stage. We will have a live stream on the scoreboard of close-ups of the kids walking across the stage. So you can get a good look at them. We'll have both sets of grandstands open. That's why we're going to use the end zone, so we can have parents on both sides. No tickets required. Open to the public. As many people who want to come can come. Our seating is over 2,000 with that, and that is plenty. We had just under, I think, 1,200 respond when I did the survey for seniors. So plenty of room in both locations. So no tickets required this year. It is open to the public. Still deciding if it's going to be live streamed or not, depending on what the public wants there. The students and teachers will be on the field in front of the stage with the students up front, the teachers behind. We are bringing that back for the first time in 3 years to have all licensed staff on the field with the students. We will be using recorded processional music in both cases because orchestras don't work outside. And even if we moved inside, it's too much for them to prepare and be ready to go just in case it rains. So that'll be recorded. The choir will be performing live again. It's the entire choir will be performing right in the middle of the ceremony. And we will not have a recessional if we use Hammer Field. We will simply say, thanks for coming. You're invited down to the field for pictures at this time. And so all the families can come down to do pictures near the stage, near the scoreboard. They can get down on the field and take those pictures for families. So that's the general plan for Hammer if we go there. Any questions on that one? With no questions, I'll move.
Are the teachers going to be in gown?
They will be robed, yes, gowned and robed, yes. They will be. We're back to some normal again, yeah. So in the gymnasium plan, we'll have a stage set up. This is back to kind of what we did before. The stage in the auxiliary gym with a live stream on the school website. Again, no tickets required. We'll have students and teachers on the floor with also some families on the floor to make more room. And then both sides open. Again, recorded processional music, the live choir performance, and then the recorded. That one we would recess them out because pictures on the gym floor. It's a gym. So they can come back in if they want, but we would recess the students out at that point and let them come back in for pictures. So that's one of the differences there. In either plan, I have met with representatives of senior class. In the front right side of the student section seating, there will be 3 empty chairs with flowers on them to commemorate the students that were lost throughout the years of the senior class. That was decided with the families, with the students, and with school personnel. So it'll be the front right side facing the stage, 3 empty chairs right there to commemorate those 3 students. Currently, the decision on whether we're gonna be inside or outside is going to be made Friday morning, unless the new stage is not in yet. And then we have to make the decision by Wednesday night on whether. We're hoping that those pieces, the rest of the pieces of the stage and the backdrop are here. We have a new stage for Hammer Field coming in, but we don't know if all pieces will be here. The world we live in. I don't know if they're on a boat in Shanghai or where they are, but we're hoping everything's there so we can have both places set up. So if it needs to go move inside, we can do it the day of. If we can't, we have to decide by Wednesday night. So that's a little bit in flux. Speakers this year will be myself, Dr. Funk, Mr. Store is going to be our guest speaker, and the students to be determined how we pick our student speaker. They have their speeches due this Friday to the office. They will present them to us next Tuesday, and we pick the person who will be speaking next Thursday. Zach Luther and Angel Welch were the winners of the poll for staff members reading the names for this year, so that returns as well, and they will read as they come across the stage to get their diplomas. So there is where we sit with 18 days to go. Joe.
How much seating is in the gymnasium? There's no tickets for that.
It's the same. It's
Same.
close to the same
Wow.
when we add the floor seating.
Mm.
Is Thursday night the area learning center?
I do not know that.
They usually the
Night before,
yeah.
thanks. And then Friday is 5 p.m. Did you say?
7.
7, sorry.
You guys are there early.
Early, yeah.
Where's the ALC held
And
at?
what time?
In the auditorium.
In the auditorium.
That's auditorium at the high
Same as
school.
last year?
High school
And what's the
auditorium
time? We haven't, what's the time?
For the
ALC.
ALC. It may be on the calendar, it's probably on the calendar.
I did not see, I looked on the calendar and I didn't
Oh,
see it, but I might not have looked in the right spot either.
Oh, it's hard to find.
Can you send that out when you find out?
I will send out,
Yeah, we're usually invited.
Yeah, the calendar online says all day, and I hope that's. not
Yeah,
the case.
that's what I-
We need that space.
Yeah. And what time will doors open either in the?
6:50.
6:15?
So a 45-minute window for everyone to get to their seats. And the spot where I ran into some trouble was the disability seating.
Yeah.
That's a little more limited, but we can use the track. We can use we can bring people down to field level if we run out of those seats. That's 45 minutes should give us a cushion there. Actually, people who need that seating could park at the field house and go on the track right down to the stage. But this is the first time we'll be in that end zone, so my big fear is the sun, is where's it gonna be on the horizon as it comes down? But I'm gonna go out a couple weeks before and find out what that looks like. It'll just be the staff and the students who are blinded, so.
Mhm. Yeah,
you know, the families will get a good experience. on that.
yeah. And we won't be
You know, you guys will be up there looking this way, so.
And Ashley, you'll send out like where we need to be and when we need to be there.
Yeah, and I know Katie's working on that letter as well for everybody. This is Katie's first shot at this as well, with Danny kind of stepping away and Katie moving in, so. We're going, every day we're talking about it, so I think it should be a very good ceremony.
Wards Assembly,
Award assembly is Wednesday night
right, for
at 6:30,
Yes.
I believe. I'm just not going home.
I'm gonna
so
be there
I know
all
I'm
night.
gonna be there, yeah.
Right.
That is kind of an all-day setup.
Yeah,
That's a long one, but we have a lot of great presenters coming for that.
and as far as the walking procedures for who can participate in commencement, do you anticipate any problems this year? Because I know there were some problems last year.
We are watching them very close, and the only ones who are not participating at this point are so far off, they're already planning on attending the ALC next fall.
Okay.
well, this is great. I'm sure people will be so excited to be able to go.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's what we're trying to do, is make this a absolutely awesome event for these students who have lived a heck of the last 3 years of their high school careers is to make it something normal, something memorable, something awesome. So that's fun. I did put a little time limit on Neil. We're gonna talk about a brief statement, so we'll see how that goes.
Why do people keep
You
bringing
got
it
something,
up?
you got something to shock him with?
We got recorded music, we could just start like the Grammys and just start playing.
Start playing.
I've been at events like that. And as a matter of fact, I think I was the only one that was finished before the Frank Sinatra song. So I can be brief. I will be brief. Any
Well-
other questions?
Teacher Appreciation Week, everybody. Thanks to the teachers out there.
Yeah.
Make sure that they're appreciated all week long, and May is here.
Well, we'll hope for good weather.
Yeah.
It looks good now. I've got it starting to tick closer to the 20th. I got it. I'm
You have
looking at it.
that long, it's a long rain forecast.
It's 2 days short, so we'll start tracking it a little better.
All right, I
Thank
believe we are adjourned.
We're hustling, Dave.
We'll get there. It'll be up at 2:11.
What you got a game?
And I'm not sure.
Yeah, you better go.